Hello, everyone, and welcome to the altar. Tonight, it's me, Ben, aka Based Heisenberg, aka Rocky Mountain Juhadeen, and we also have Max, aka Encaparado, aka Less Racist Max. We may have Matt later tonight. It depends on whether or not he is too busy with his wife's feet, but I guess we'll see. So tonight, we were discussing the dynamics of mating in relationships a little bit. We're talking about incels, possible mass incel attacks. And I guess that's a good segue into the discussing the Nashville School Shooter and the manifesto that allegedly leaked recently. Did you happen to read that at all?
I read a little bit about it. Or I saw some screenshots and I kind of chuckled because my first reaction was if you're this is a thing that some people have observed about people with gender dysphoria, is that they ideate upon being the other gender, and they want to feel and have the thoughts of the other gender.
Mm-hmm.
But simultaneously, like, this person was had like a journal with like complete with like side drawings of stuff and like an itinerary for their mass shooting rampage,
which no man would do. To just be really honest with you, no man is going to have an itinerary for his mass shooting. That's very gay.
Well, no, he's gonna type it up at least.
I mean, well, no, we'll get like the manifesto explaining things, yes, but like an actual like he's not gonna pack himself a box lunch and make little cartoon drawings in a notebook about his box lunch on the day he's gonna commit the mass shooting. Like that's inherently female. That's female nonsense.
So yeah, that was my initial reaction to it. I did not dive too much past that. Besides, like, it's exactly what everybody was expecting it to say.
It's kind of like it's kind of, I don't know, dumb, I guess, because like there's only 3 pages available, and like it's pretty much like if you were to open like Tumblr at any point in the last 10 years, it's just like the average schlock you'd see there. But it's in a notebook, and there's an itinerary of murder, so it's like, oh shit. And I had planned on like reading bits and pieces of it, and anytime I heard the word or read the word cis or white, I was gonna take a drink. But it only says it a couple times, and I made a very strong drink, so I've been drinking anyway. But it's just underwhelming what's available so far.
Right. Also, didn't the shooter had like an AR, but also had like a Kel-Tec Sub 2000, right?
I think so. Yeah. Like I
and
remember
they primarily used the Sub 2000.
They did, and I remember specifically because like a bunch of websites started advertising Sub 2000s, like Kel-Tec Sub 2000s, right afterwards. And I was thinking for a second, I was like, maybe I should get one of these before they're like target banned by California or something like that. Not that would really affect me, but I want to get one before like all of a sudden they're like $900.
But they suck anyways.
Yeah, but like I don't know, man. It's like, listen, think about it like this: high points are like arguably really bad handguns, but how many shootings a year you think are committed with high points, percentage wise?
Probably a solid like single digit percentage.
Like if we're talking
upper single digits, maybe.
Pretty much, yeah. Like if we're talking like effectiveness and like percentage of the market, like high points have a little bit of like monopoly going on. Like they're the most combat proven handgun in the United States that's been used domestically.
Yeah. No, they don't jam. Like James Reeves' torture test on high point pistols was like utterly dumbfounding.
Yeah.
That also said, like we all watch the occasional like whatever TikTok capture there are of like gangland guys, and they all have like Glocks with switches at this point.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, you can get them right off of fucking wish.com and
yeah. So like I'm just surprised, like as far as like the shooter went, like they actually had they actually had a Keltec, not just a
Mhm.
High Point carbine, right?
Exactly.
Right, like I would assume most leftists don't know enough about guns that they'd just be like, they both look black and deadly.
Yeah, exactly. Black and scary.
Mm-hmm. True.
Mm-hmm. What
Anyways,
else?
yeah, the I didn't see much past the manifesto that wasn't
It's
just like the very mentally ill person who's very fixated on woke, you know,
bullshit. No.
bullshit ideology. Just it's just like the same person with just a little bit better, psychiatric medication would probably just end up being a college professor, but they screwed up the SSRI percentage just a little bit, and they got that.
And of course, I'm hacking all of their electronic devices and making them have voices come out of them at all times, telling her, to shoot the school up. Also doesn't help. Just a little MK Ultraness.
Wait, is that a thing that was alleged?
I mean, sure. I don't know. Maybe I pulled that out of my ass just
Oh
now.
wait,
Maybe
there
I
was
didn't.
the main shooter had gotten like hearing implants done.
Oh, that's right. So yeah, we could talk about
And-
that. He had the hearing implants, and like supposedly he was like hearing shit after he got the implants.
Right. And it's like he's like picking up MK Ultra frequencies, and then they find him suicided in a bathroom stall, scrolled in his own blood, saying, "I'm not a killer."
Oh no, that was a different one. So
That's not the main guy?
So the main guy, they found him in the woods with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, but like I've heard reports that he had like 2 gunshot wounds to the head. But
they all do, right?
Of course, yeah, to the back of the head. But there was another dude who went to some like water park or something like that, and like he got geared up to do an attack, and then like went into the bathroom and like killed himself and wrote on the wall, "I'm not a killer."
Oh, whack.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I didn't separate those two things out. That is...
Well, they happened very close. Like, I want to say that second event happened like a week after the main shooting. Within a week.
Okay, I thought like the manhunt, it had just finished or something like that. So they were. I thought it was like a detail from the manhunt for that main guy. That's it's just like we make this joke a lot. I don't know what the Venn diagram looks like between people on SSRIs who have former government employment who go on to be mass shooters. But it's almost a fucking circle.
It's basically a circle at this point.
And the ear implant thing is just like a next level. Like
Yeah.
I almost believe it because they're that lazy at this point when it comes to the psyops.
I mean, if we think about those two...
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, those 2 shootings, I think they were last year, where they both used, like, Daniel Defense ARs with, like, the same, like, forward grip mounted all the way to the front, like, the same optic setup. Like, everything was exactly the same across the 2 rifles. It was that one high school shooting in Texas, and then there was another one. But they had the same rifle setup, and everyone's like, how did this unemployed high
We're all
schooler
watching
get...
like the same Haley strategic video.
I guess.
Like, you got a C-clamp.
You got a C-clamp, bro. If you C-clamp, gotta get all the way out there, man. You gotta dislocate the elbow, get the thumb all the way overboard.
5.56 rifle.
Yeah.
So,
There's this old Colt advertisement. It's like from the 60s or 70s for like an old Colt rifle. And they have this like this cop in like one of those like pentacorner hat things, like the old school hats, like hip firing this fucking thing, and he's got like this weird like over barrel grip going on with his thumb, like right behind the front sight block. And he's just like shooting from the hip like that, and it's like official Colt advertisement as to how you're supposed to shoot this fucking rifle. And it's like, what the fuck? We're just just hip firing into crowds of black people protesting segregation, I guess.
Well, it's like Israel. Just use some less lethal, rimfire rounds.
Some less than lethal white phosphorus. It's less than lethal if you put less than lethal on the outside.
I like how the Biden regime's response to civilian casualties was politely asking Israel to use smaller bombs.
Excuse me, guys. Could you possibly use smaller bombs when you were carpet bombing the cities, please? If you could, the civilians can dodge the bombs if they are 500 pounds lighter. If you just could do that, please.
See, I think you misunderstand us. Like we believe in your right to defend yourself. It's just when you're using a laser guided munition from a fighter jet, if you could use a 500-pound bomb instead of a 2,500-pound bomb on a 13-story apartment, it would really reduce the casualties.
Seriously.
So the collateral damage would just be so much lower.
It's like that one cartoon. It's like showing an infographic of them like J-damming an apartment building. How is this supposed to reduce civilian casualties? Reduce civilian casualties. What is it?
No, like the psyops got so lazy after that fucking fake alien body in Mexico.
Which they still trot that out every once in a while. Like, look, bro, we got X-rays of it, man.
Yeah, you can X-ray a fucking doll too. You know. So let me just look this up. Average IQ of Mexico.
Oh Jesus.
Mexico ranked number 69 in the world.
Nice.
Is average IQ national testing of 87.7. Okay.
Matches
just
the
above
average.
Tajikistan.
Yeah, matches the average room temperature in many parts of Mexico.
So they're like, I mean, like you are selecting from that population for like, you know, their intelligence service and like, you know, whoever their shit little, you know, political party that runs them right now. I have no idea what Mexican politics is like.
Run by cartels.
Sure, yeah. And so like they think they can pass over like some stupid telenova. They like hired like the best telenova artist, like makeup artist, be like, hey, make us like the best alien possible. We'll give you $1 million to do it.
I remember when they had like some clip of one. I think it was some skit show like making fun of it, and like the dude standing right next to the body, and just real quick he just grabs it and takes a bite out of the fucking head and throws it back in the casket. Everyone's like, "Hey, stop!"
Well, like no, when I was on with Yimra, I was like, it looks the fucking chocolate guy, the Swiss chocolate guy.
Oh God,
would make a better fake alien.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Speaking of which, he posted a video randomly out of the blue of a dove, a white dove perched upon an olive branch. Isn't that interesting?
That's interesting.
There's no reason one would be concerned about white doves and olive branches in the world today.
Well, I think maybe the chocolate guy is going to make a two-state solution out of chocolate for Israel and Palestine.
He's like the vaguely European, like swarthy complexion, where like they could easily pass as like a North African or like Middle Eastern guy, right? If you didn't know, you know, it's just same as like a lot of like Welsh people, to be honest. But anyways,
like you put a hijab on him, and it's like, hey, man, assalamu alaikum, brother.
Mashallah.
Inshallah.
Mashallah.
Mashallah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I don't speak that much Arabic.
So, my friend, real quick, let's check in. What are you sipping on right now?
Oh, I was having. This isn't a Melvin glass, but it's New Belgium Imperial IPA.
Excellent, nice. I'm having a little tequila concoction myself.
Perfect. Speaking of which, since I'm out, I'm going to get another one.
Oh, excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, if you need to take a piss or a shit, or you need to refill your drink real quick, now would be the time. I am going to sit here and I'm going to attempt to maintain consciousness while Max refills his drink. Welcome back, sir.
Sip, sip, sip.
You got it.
Oh, here, I'll see if I can't pour this on camera like
About
it's
to
an
say,
advertisement.
we need to watch you pour, too, so we know you're not like... There you go. Yeah.
Oh, it's doing all that fuzzy shit.
I mean, it's fine. I don't see any foam. We're good. You can pour a beer.
No, I'm trying to get rid of the fuzzy background is just annoying right now.
There we go.
Okay.
Now we can see everything.
My couch.
Yeah.
Oh, I might have tilted it too soon. That's not my best pour.
Oh, pouring beer like a rookie. That's okay. That's still not bad.
Alrighty. Cool.
Excellent. So
yeah. Oh, I was gonna say JC had some comments. Initiate simp mode. I think he meant innate.
Initiate simp mode.
Initiate simp mode sequence. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
A lot of couples have gone on 23andMe and realized they share the same great grandparents. That's awkward, but it's safe at that point.
Yeah, no. Shouldn't say this, but I was my here, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this without like doxing myself or somebody. There was like a new person with a lot of funding, and they were trying to bring them in. They have their wife actually as one of their people they're hiring to work on their grant, and they're coming out of Pakistan. And I cracked the joke, and I'm like, "Are you sure it's not their cousin?"
Ooh.
Just to back up that quote is cousin marriage, by nation. If I'm not mistaken,
Middle East is notorious for that. Like, it's bad.
Yes, here we go. The nation with the highest rate of cousin marriage is Pakistan, which is 65%.
Of 65% of all marriages are cousin marriages?
Yes.
Roll Tide. Holy shit.
Followed by India, 55%, Saudi Arabia, 50%, Afghanistan, 40%, Iran, 30%, Egypt, and Turkey at 20%.
Wow.
No, this is just consanguineous, so it could be second cousins.
Okay.
Which means you just share a great grandparent. But still, that's on the borderline.
Yeah, it's cutting it close.
It probably accounts for about a 15-point IQ difference on average.
I too actually have a story of so not personally, but an employee who used to work for me, who will go nameless, an LDS, aka Mormon employee, for further context as to why this is especially funny. In Utah, especially, a lot of Mormon families are big. Like, everybody's got like 5 or 6 or 7 or sometimes like 10 kids. And like, they go on and they all have a bunch of fucking kids. So you have like these huge fucking extended families. So this one girl was talking about how she was at a family reunion and there was this guy there who was, of course, family reunion. And he's like a second cousin or something like that. And she just was casually just mentioned about how they made out a couple times. And like, there was one time where it almost went a little too far. And we're just like, oh, thanks for sharing that. We needed to know that.
Well, isn't there, so like there's the polygamist sect of Mormons. They live in Mexico still, right?
There are a lot in Mexico. There are still some in Utah. Like, they're around in the United States. They're just they don't really go out a whole lot. They are, but like occasionally. So like, I've gone to, like, you go to Walmart, any given Walmart in Utah, and like especially late at night, and like you see like the Sprinter van pull up and like 5 women get out in like denim dresses and no makeup, and they buy a shitload of fucking like produce and groceries, and they're just like all ringing it through and loaded it up. Like that's like a fundamentalist like Mormon type of deal, but you don't see it a whole lot. But I think I've seen it like 2 or 3 times.
Okay. Yeah. No, I know it still exists.
Oh, yeah.
I was just saying like there's like this hardcore like LDS community or Mormon community like in Mexico, like the Mexican government back in the 1880s or whatever, like gave them shelter, like said you do whatever you want, we don't care. Because they can probably do anything about it if they wanted to.
Mhm.
And but like the rate of polygamy and resulted in a huge bottleneck of male parents in the community, to the point that like everybody's half cousins in just a couple generations. And now they have like I remember reading this, like they had the highest rate of like some rare, I mean like I think the disease straight up got like named after the person, the kid.
Excellent.
What's the meme where it's like,
Doctor, what's my prognosis? Well, I have good news and bad news. What's the bad news? You have a very serious illness. So what's the good news? You get to pick the name.
but yeah, it's like some genetic defect that now like all of them have in
Yeah.
this Mormon community down in Mexico, and like basically like it just took like 6 generations and they're extinct at this point.
Fantastic.
There wasn't enough. Well, because like you just can't have like one father, but or what was basically like one entire extended family group just constantly inbreeding.
You need genetic diversity.
At least with like the Pakistan cousin marriage thing,
Yeah.
it's like it's a spread about like your entire tribe or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
God.
anyways, yeah, but women be shopping is what you told me, right?
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much. That's where the
For
pre-show
produce?
started. For produce, yeah. And occasionally, like I'll be browsing real estate on like Zillow or Realtor.com or something like that, and you'll get these houses. And there was one, and I kind of liked it because, like, I don't know if you've ever like been to Florida or you've seen a lot of houses in Florida, but it's very common to have like you have like a fenced-in porch and you have like a lot of like gates and like hard like metal fencing and stuff like this. But what the fencing specifically is to keep like bugs out and shit. So a lot of houses in Florida will have like a screened-in patio area. Usually that's like where the pool is.
You're not talking like metal bars. You're talking about like metal screen.
Like metal screen. It's like a big ass screen door. Like it's basically like a
no, it's like a bug porch thing. Yeah, I've seen that.
So like I saw this house and I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool because like you can go outside and you have a tennis court, which is like not tennis, excuse me, like a It's actually was like a basketball and tennis, which is like very fucking Utah. Because like they have the Utah Jazz and like everybody plays fucking tennis and fucking pickleball. And then you start looking at the house and it's just like, oh, okay, it's got like some wood paneling and like needs a little bit of an update, and then you get into the basement and all of a sudden there is like a bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, and then another bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, and then another bedroom, bathroom, kitchen. And like they all just kind of set up the same way, like there's these little mini apartments like in the basement, but there's like 4 of them. And it's like, oh, what was the previous owner like? It was like, oh, it was a fundamentalist Mormon family, and it's like, oh, okay. Why does the basement feel so fucking creepy? Like, why do I have this awful
you can
vibe?
make a killing. Is it a college town? Because you could rent those as separate apartments.
Like that's probably what's gonna happen with it now. But like, I just remember looking at it and I was just like, it had like that weird like
environmental storytelling, right?
Exactly, and it had like that creepy kind of pastel coloring too that like you'd find from like
The Shining. A basement in Florida isn't it gonna flood? Do they have?
Well, no. This is the thing. It wasn't in Florida. It was here in Utah.
Oh, okay.
So it was like, oh, okay. Like it's just here's the thing though. It's like a compound, and it's like fenced in everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is it's all coming together.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's like, why is this keeping people out or in? Interesting.
Sad times.
Yeah.
So wait, were we gonna get to the child sacrifice topic?
Oh, right.
Speaking of
Yeah.
women,
Ohio voted to legalize both marijuana and to enshrine abortion in the state constitution, which is very mid 2000s Seth Rogen of them to do that. But that goes to show that just the voters
I
just
can't even find it on Drudge Reports.
what is it about abortion and democracy that just goes so well together?
Okay, so
It's
the
like
BBC's reporting.
oh, BBC, is that the problem?
What?
I was like,
God.
what is it about democracy and abortion that goes so well together? And you just brought up
It's the
you brought up-
BBC's.
yeah, the big broadcasting company. Yes.
57% of voters in Ohio backed the abortion amendment.
Mm-hmm.
The state constitution to include protections for abortion access, an individual right to one's own reproductive medical treatment, including abortion, contraception, miscarriage care, takes effect on 7th of December, a day that will live in infamy.
A day that will live in infamy.
Dude, like, how much of fucking history nerds are we to know that shit? Because, like, I think if you went up to the average Zoomer, or, I mean, anybody, they would have no idea what we're fucking talking about when we make that joke.
Unfortunately.
But, okay, well, so this is another thing, and if you go back to the pre-show or whatever, we were talking about epochs of dating, or not dating, mating in human history, and up until Christianity, it was very common that they just practiced fourth trimester abortion. The baby would come out, and if it looked a little funny, and they didn't want it, you chuck it off a fucking cliff.
The Spartans had a special mountain dedicated specifically for that.
We are. It's surprising that we still have abortion when contraception exists the way we do.
You would also think
it seems like a marginal case so often, but
yeah, somehow
whatever.
So if you think about it though, in Ohio, like I'm trying to think of like the voter demographic turnout for like who is really turning out to vote for both, like, you know, legalizing abortion and legalizing marijuana, and I think that this election will go down as an election with one of the highest male African American participation rates in history. Like, what's not to love for them there? They get to avoid fatherhood and they get legal marijuana? Like, who wouldn't want that? Sorry.
Bronze Age mindset, man.
Hell yeah, man.
Honestly, it's not very Bronze Age, because if you were Bronze Age, you just want to reproduce maximally. You want to spread your genes.
You want like 50 sons, like they form an army and serve you. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's I mean, honestly, that's we were talking about consanguineous marriage, but in communities that still don't have, where there's like a horseshoe theory on this, I think, where like if you can have a very traditional society where there's like too much cousin marriage because like women aren't allowed outside of the home, and like there's no such thing as dating, and so all marriages are arranged, and the only person you know or your parents know are your cousins and stuff, so that's how it works. But the other end of the horseshoe is that there's no marriages, and you just have baby daddies like running around, and the rate of accidental incest in the inner city communities is very high compared to others, if you don't know this, because there's a lot of not knowing who's the father of who, and
that's true.
They're all going to the same school. They don't know that they're step sibling or they're half siblings or they're half cousins or stuff like that. So another thing that keeps your IQ down, unfortunately. So keeping a good genealogy makes your kids smarter.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So they also legalized marijuana sales tax at 10%. It's not bad, I guess.
That's actually not bad. In Nevada, it's like 21%.
Wasn't California's like 40? Like
It's
their
bad.
legal cannabis sucks. Like I have a family member that works in not just law but also in cannabis law, like represents like dispensaries and stuff like that all the time. And like it's just ridiculous. Like they wanted to legalize it so it'd be like safe and effective, or safe and tested and everything like that, and taxed.
Yeah.
But like they're at the point where it's like, why am I even going through this process? It's legitimately the penalties for just doing everything illegally and not paying taxes on it are less than just and then trying to do it legally.
Yeah.
Like it's that ass backwards. That's what fines mean, is legal for a price. Right?
Exactly.
So if the fines are less than the taxes, then people will just pay fines.
Exactly. When I was in New York, so New York has legal marijuana now. My friends, specifically also my sisters, sorry to out her real quick, connections are going stronger than ever, and like prices are actually really fucking good for shit now, like especially in legal states. If you're not buying,
it's still technically all gray market stuff, isn't it?
Pretty much now, because like there's like no risk, because like you could still, I'm sure you probably still could get arrested for like selling marijuana like without a license, I guess, but like it'd probably just be a fine. Like that's the thing. Like the cops have like no fucking incentive to do anything about it. I remember I think I got like 10 I got like 10 grams of concentrate in cartridges, which is like a decent amount when you consider it from a legal perspective, for like $150, which is a great deal. So that will last you a long time. But yeah, I guess, I don't know. Just buy it from your guy in the corner. Keep buying it from your guy at the corner. Support your local dispenser.
Well, it's like people told me to like, oh, you can find this on Amazon for cheaper all the time, and I'm like,
yeah, but
with like normal stuff, and I'm like, I don't know if Jeff Bezos should just fucking own everything.
Exactly.
Like I buy from the local guy, and I also expect the local guy to come by my direction for my thing every once in a while. We need to localize our economy anymore. We need to de-globalize.
Shop at your local Jared for jewelry. Stop buying them on the internet.
Who buys jewelry on the internet?
I don't know.
Real?
Zoomers, they love buying jewelry on the internet.
But like, it's very valuable, and it's like, okay, you can technically buy a car on the internet, but you gotta like, you pick it up from like the dealer. It's like buying a house over the internet.
A little bit,
right?
If it's a couple of grand, I can maybe see like, okay, like take the risk if it's really that little to you. But like, let's just say I've made a lot of money on people who bought jewelry on the internet trying to bring it in locally and getting it fixed, because it's just like a fucking nightmare. It's just a bad idea. But if you want to keep funding my paycheck, then please keep doing it.
Well, yeah, it's. I just feel like it's one of those buy once, cry once situations.
Pretty much.
For the most part. Neat. So, okay, they legalized abortion, or they didn't legalize it. They just enshrined its legality, because it was never illegal. So abortion is currently legal until 22 weeks of pregnancy. Those who campaign against the measure argued that it would allow late-term abortions that are currently illegal. So 22 weeks, that's 5.5 months. That's kind of getting there, right?
That's getting close.
Third trimester. As votes were being counted, emotional celebrations, one of the greatest moments of my life, said Kate Gilly at a watch party. A lot of babies won't have any great moments of their lives.
Yeah, man. Like,
Kate.
Of
I don't
course,
even like.
of course, her name's Kate.
We've got 2 little girls, and this is about their future and their reproductive rights," said Frank Tedeschi.
Uh,
They had to use like sub names for this. I have to imagine. Anyways, they so the late term abortions is where it starts to get really unsavory. Because
evil.
I'm a Walter Block guy on this. I think you can practice eviction, right? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fetus does not have a right to rent your womb. You
Mhm.
can evict it, but you can't just unilaterally
Terminate it. Yeah,
terminate a squatter. You can, especially when you have the ability to peaceably remove them, because they literally have no sentience, I shouldn't say sentience. They have no agency in action at that
correct.
point. So just like the Palestinians, right?
Yes, the Israelis have the right to evict Palestinians. Oh God.
Well, no, I was going to say the
Hang on.
reverse is that
Oh wait, no, you're right. Yes, the Palestinians have the right to evict the Israelis.
Should but can't peaceably evict the Israelis.
So the Palestinians are the landlords.
Look, if I don't steal your house, then somebody else will.
Of course, yeah.
You've seen that video, right?
Yes.
I keep trying to bring everything back to Israel Palestine. I don't know why.
It's because it's the thing right now, man. It's the going on. It's the happening. Everybody's convinced World War III is going to start, and it's like I've lived through 5.
This is my 10th World War III.
This is my 10th Israel Palestine kerfuffle.
Well, to be fair, this is the biggest one since 2005, probably.
I mean, yeah, but like I remember the one from 2005, man. Like
the thing is, they're like it does look like for some reason Israel wants to annex Gaza.
Yeah.
At this point, and I don't know that like Turkey and Egypt and like Iran are like talking to each other, which hasn't like happened before. Like they got diplomats going back and forth, and like the average intern at the Biden White House who's working, not, I shouldn't say intern, the average staffer at the Biden White House who works at the State Department is like not on board with this stuff.
Yeah.
I think. And so it's just a monumental shit show at this rate, because I think it's very dynamic, and I've read Saul Alinsky, and I understand the strategies here, and Hamas has played it very well, and they are forcing the reaction. And I think it is utterly hilarious to watch the U.S. as this great empire bleed to death from just a couple more thousand cuts sequentially.
Yeah. I wonder what's going to be after this, when like it's going to be Taiwan maybe, but when that's going to kick off. Do we think that'll be the election year thing?
Dude, okay, we've been wrong before, right?
Yeah.
But I really don't see the Taiwan thing happening, just because like at the end of the day, like Chinese culture is that making money is good, and war is just not great for money.
This is true. So if it's not Taiwan, like there's got to be something else.
Well, shit, we should have. It's not just the child sacrifice that's being continued, right? It's the Ukraine war.
Yeah.
And just the regular human the young male sacrifice that's continuously happening, because it's like they're going to get a worse peace deal than they could have negotiated back in February of 22, when I first came on this podcast, and I was like, and what we weren't supposing is that U.S. would back them up with $200 billion of aid that would allow them to last for 2 years.
Exactly.
But like literally, we were right when we said Russia's going to be in Kiev in 2 weeks, and they were.
Yeah,
It's just like they backed off when we started funding them to the fucking hilt.
exactly.
And but like it's all they had to do was wait us out because we're just a giant machine bleeding to death.
I love that post recently that was going around. It showed Pete Buttigieg or Buttigieg,
Pete butt stuff.
but Keat Butsex, was meeting with Zelensky, and the caption was just like, they're done with you when they send Pete.
Dude, imagine that snub. That's
Oh,
rough.
oh,
But yeah, no, like what was the point of all of it, right? It was just to line the pockets of Raytheon, General Dynamics, and
pretty
shit like
much.
that.
I
Did
find
you
it
watch any of
interesting.
well, I was going to ask if you watched any of the debates, but finish your
No, I
the
don't.
Republican
I
debate.
haven't watched a debate in so long. But I was just gonna say, like, it's interesting that what's especially happened is like all of the old Cold War stock and surplus, especially, has been depleted for this. And oh
Oh
wow,
yeah,
not only did we make money selling it, now we're gonna make lots of money replacing what was lost.
but like realize in the midterm, the interim. That's
Interim.
what I mean. In the interim, that like, and the same's true for Britain right now. Like we talked about this, like Britain's out of artillery shells. They don't have ammunition for their tanks or anything like that. They probably don't even have that many functional tanks at this point. Like a couple divisions of Russian paratroopers could conquer the United Kingdom right now. And I mean, there might be some guerrilla fighters, but like they're largely disarmed or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
like, and the same's true for the U.S. Like, we don't have a ton of like. That's when it comes to conventional war. It's been true since Napoleon that what wins wars is artillery.
Yeah.
That's what determines battles. Can you keep enough people in the field fed and clothed that the rate at which the enemy kills them with artillery is less than the rate that you can kill the enemy people with artillery? That's what war has been since 1805, basically.
Mm-hmm.
If not earlier, really. So, at least conventional war. So, like this, the nation states of Europe are functionally don't have militaries at this point because of the Ukraine war.
Mm-hmm.
It's a uniquely anarchist situation because like they've also got millions of Middle Eastern refugees.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like, did you see France and Germany are like made it illegal to do pro-Palestine demonstrations and like
Because there
I
were massive demonstrations.
was like you've got like a several million strong person insurgency at this point
Mm-hmm.
of like people that just fucking hate you. Like there was no long-term thought to the global or to our elite. Like they really thought that at the end of the day they could avoid getting their heads stuck on pikes.
It's inevitable. The pike is inevitable.
Like you will fuck up at a certain point and enough people will hate you. Or like you can't deliberately fuck up this much for this long and think that you can just replace people with other people as though we're some faraway province and then imagine that you're not going to have like these kinds of things because like even DC right now, like they stormed the Capitol and the White House
Dude, there's
for this
like
Palestine demonstration.
I have some friends in LA and they were posting videos of just like it was like the Museum of Tolerance or something had like some shit going on and there was literal like riots and like crowds of people attacking like supposed like Jews or Israelis. And then there was that fucking airport in like Dagestan. There
Oh
was
yeah, in Russia.
yeah, there was like a fucking plane landing from Tel Aviv and like this angry crowd was just like, "Give us the Jews."
Well,
Oh,
oh, did you see? I think even funny. I shouldn't say funnier. Even more twisted than the fact that there was a crowd standing outside of the airport trying to like corral Jews was that Dan Kershaw, Eye Patch McCain,
yeah.
posted that video, and he's like, I don't know where Dagestan is, or I don't know what Dagestan is, but well, I gotta find it.
Oh my god. Dagestan
'Cause it's
is
like,
the
why would
fictional
you
country
admit
from Call of Duty. Just kidding.
what like why would he admit that he doesn't know what Dagestan is?
Yeah, that's not a good move.
Like the first thing he's like, okay, here's his tweet. Never heard of Dagestan until now, but apparently it's a Jew-hating hellhole. And it's like, okay, you could just like he's a big neocon. He couldn't
Of course he is.
like just he couldn't look up. I could write the play better for him, right? Like just go on Google Dagestan. Where's Dagestan? Oh, it's Russia. Oh, the Russians are our enemies that I'm trying to fleece the American taxpayer to buy a bunch of weapons for. Oh, these Dagestanis in Russia, they're so tolerant of Jew hating, like, you know, Putin's bad guy. He couldn't even like take 5 seconds to figure that out.
Well, he had to come up with it on his own. He wasn't given a script telling him what to say. That narrative hadn't been constructed yet, unfortunately.
Like, it really tells you. Like, I keep bragging on IQ, but it's almost everything.
It is.
Just like when you pull from a population, and what's Kearnshaw? I'm trying to become more racist. I'm trying to become moderately racist, Max.
Moderately racist, Max. I think that's a very achievable goal.
Daniel Reed Kearnshaw is an American politician, former SEAL, serving in Ron Paul's former seat, which is a fucking shame.
Oh, God, that's so bad.
Yeah, I know, right? How could they go from fucking Ron Paul to fucking Eye Patch McCain? He was born to American parents in Aberdeen, Scotland. So, is he a natural born citizen? I don't think so.
Uh-oh.
He thankfully might never be eligible to become president. That's great.
That's good. That is very good.
His mother died of cancer when he was 10 years old.
That's unfortunate.
Skill issue. His father is a petroleum engineer who worked in Ecuador and Colombia, developing
father is a petroleum engineer. Maybe your parents know him.
If he was working in Ecuador and Colombia, and if he was in Aberdeen and he was working in Ecuador and Colombia, he probably worked for BP. And BP is partially owned by the Crown. It's not even owned by the United Kingdom, like the public government. It's owned by the Crown mostly. Like the Queen, or no longer the Queen, the King of England is like one of the primary shareholders. Anyway, he attended Tufts University. He has a bachelor's in international relations and minor in physics. You'd think he'd be smarter with a fucking minor in physics, but he got a master's from Harvard, and he worked as a legal assistant for Pete Sessions. At Tufts, he was in ROTC for the Navy, and then did BUDS training. He completed SEALs qualification and a naval special warfare officer, enlisted to wear the special warfare insignia. Served 10 years, 5 tours of duties, reaching the lieutenant rank of lieutenant commander. His first deployment was to Fallujah, where he was with SEAL Team 3. He was based out of okay. Yeah. All right, so he was backing up the Blackwater contractors after Israel assassinated the Palestinian Authority's president, who was trying to make a peace deal with who was trying to. They were like this close, like, to doing the 2-state deal back in 2005, and then Israel assassinated the Palestinian Authority's leader. And the riots in Fallujah, they killed the Blackwater operators, and then they sent in the SEALs and the Marines and made it a free fire zone. And in case you, I keep relating everything back to Israel Palestine, but people should know this shit. Like like he's like a on the ground like warrior like for Israel basically. Like that the Battle of Fallujah was about Israel.
Wow.
So he's got 2 Bronze Stars, a Purple Heart, and a Commendation Medal with Valor. He lost his right eye when an IED exploded in Helmand.
Skill issue.
Genuine skill issue.
Genuine skill issue.
Okay, well, Eye Patch McCain. Anyways, he could not be bothered as a he's got a bachelor's in international relations and a master's from Harvard, and he couldn't bother to Google Dagestan before calling it a Jew-hating hellhole.
Oh.
These are the people who rule us. They're so fucking stupid.
And they keep getting elected.
Anyways. We should have expected our boy by this time.
We should have.
So, controversial take, as I posted that map of European languages which have a separate word for toes.
Yes.
Because we all know Matt is such a toe lover.
Of course.
But he's Puerto Rican, which means he's by proxy kind of Hispanic Spanish. And Romance languages do not have a separate word for toes in them. So I think, does that make Matt an honorary white?
Yes. He married a Polish woman, yes.
Okay. Interesting. So I think it's if you really enjoy science and genetics and anthropology like I do,
nerd.
Well, okay.
No, it's cool.
Just interesting to me that like we've got, and we don't have to dive into your like family history, but like you're Hebrew, and then we've got Yimra, like who's I think he's Sicilian basically, right?
I think.
Yeah, he's like Southern Italian. And then we got Matt, and I don't know what his deal is exactly, except he's a mostly pale Puerto Rican guy.
Mm-hmm.
But like from a genetic standpoint, this is an incredibly diverse set of groups of people, because Europeans are very genetically isolated within nation states compared to a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
We are the most diverse white podcast on YouTube right now. In other words,
that's what I'm getting at. We're the most diverse white people that you could ever assemble. But we're just talking about honorary whites, right?
Yes.
And so, like, I mean, as a Jew, you get to flex, right? Are you, when it's convenient, you can apologize on behalf of white people.
I can, yeah. So
but you can also avoid being white whenever you need to.
My mother's side of the family is pretty much 100% like white Anglo-Saxon Episcopalian. So like that's like
wait,
undeniable.
I thought Jewishness was through the matriarchal line.
Oh, it is, and I've talked about this like a couple times. So because my dad's Jewish and my mom is not, I actually have to go through like extra steps in order to get, if I ever wanted dual citizenship with Israel, I'd have to like go through extra steps to prove my Jewishness in order to be considered.
That's whack.
I'm like an other, man.
That's funny. So I just wonder, because there's always been the strategy of like infiltration.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I mean, the Mossad's got to be hurting for people right now, right?
This
like,
is true, but like
about it?
I have, but the thing is too is like I'm probably like what I am to Jews is probably like if you imagine a dude named Pedro Martinez who is like a hardcore cholo gangbanger in like the LA like Latin Kings, and he gets arrested for like double homicide, and like on his little report it says white Hispanic. Like that's probably what I am to like the Jews in Israel, because like they're Israeli Jews are very very racist. Like especially the Ashkenazi Jews, they're very like like even the other Jews like the Sephardim and like the African Jews, they still are just like, oh no, y'all gotta go to the back of the bus.
Yeah, they don't like the Sephardic or yeah. So wait, but like, is your dad? Is it like Eastern European or is it?
Oh yeah, my dad looks like an Eastern European dictator from the 80s. Like it's not even.
Well, but like what, Ukraine or
no,
or
like pretty much like if imagine if like Saddam Hussein was born in Russia instead. Like that's how my dad looked for the 80s.
But like your dad's family, like are they from like Russia originally? Or
so originally, yeah. So I've done some reports. It's like Ukraine, like Eastern Ukraine, Western Russia, that area. A little bit of Lithuania, a little bit of Romania, all around there.
So. Well, because yeah, I mean the thing was with like the Eastern European Ashkenazis was like they'd only marry the other merchant class, banker class, Jews in the regions, right? So it's like, I mean, you would be all of those, but it would be, but like it's that tribe of Eastern European, right?
And speaking of like genetic isolation that results in like diseases, so a lot of the times like Jewish couples have to get blood tests because there are certain just like genetic disorders you have to look out for. I think one is like
it's
Tay-Sachs or something like that.
Yeah, there's a registry, isn't there?
I think so.
It's like, yeah, you get the other person's like number from the registry, and you like put your own in and theirs in, and you can find out like, oh, we have like 100% chance of like our kid's just basically gonna be born,
fucked up. Yeah,
fucked up. As Donald Trump said. Well, love to my haters. Oh God, I have to fight it now.
It's not their fault they were born so terribly fucked up, or something like that.
Can't help they were born fucked up. It's the best quote. Oh, okay, here we go. September 29th. Sorry, September 28th, 2014. We're gonna look back. I hope that in textbooks, in not even 100, but maybe 100 or 200 years, that we're gonna look back at Donald Trump's Twitter posts as the same way we look at meditations from Marcus Aurelius.
Yes, absolutely. A new branch of Stoicism.
I can't even look at it without laughing. Donald Trump, 6:21 p.m., September 28th, 2014. Every time I speak of the haters and losers, I do so with great love and affection. They cannot help the fact that they were born fucked up.
Okay, yes.
This tweet has been bookmarked 6,300 times, which is way too little.
Oh man.
But no, like, I mean, what was meditations for Marcus Aurelius except for like him just like shit posting his thoughts in a journal every day, right?
Exactly.
And like we're gonna go back through, like historians are legitimately gonna be like trawling through Donald Trump's old Twitter posts, like him signing in on like the Robert Pattinson like Kirsten Stewart thing.
I love the one he made about DeSantis recently. He was like a wounded pigeon falling from the sky, and everyone's like, such a Homeric, a Homeric poem from the artist of our time, Donald Trump. Ah. But yeah, I remember him having commentary about Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart.
Oh, God bless.
I like recently too. I guess he made a statement about like Travis Kelce and like Taylor Swift. He's like, I hope they have a good time together, or things will work out. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. They probably won't, but we'll see.
Well, he's on Truth Social now, which I
Yeah.
personally managed to never actually visit that website. And the only thing he's posted since January 8th of 2021 was mugshot, August 24th of 2023. Election interference never surrendered. DonaldJTrump.com. So did you hear he's open to having Tucker as his running mate?
Tucker Carlson?
Yes.
Oh my fucking god. Why not at this point?
Why not? Where do you see, as far as Tucker versus maybe Vivek?
Vivek?
On the ticket?
See, I don't know. Vivek is like a real, like, he's not much better than a neocon, actually. I've noticed this, like, a lot of Indian people in general have like a very strong, like, pro-Israeli stance. Like, they are like volunteering to go and die for Israel, like, harder than Americans do.
Did you see his interview with Dave Smith?
No.
From like, it was maybe yesterday or something like that. But like Vivek, he's trying to, like, Dave Smith's like basically asking him, like, would you not apply the same rules and like principles that you apply to Israel to the Palestinian people? And he just dodges the question for like basically 15 minutes.
Of course he does.
He's like, oh, well, we could, there's only one country on earth for Jews. And I'm like, there's an autonomous republic in the Russian Federation that's Jewish.
Mm-hmm. A whole oblast.
A whole oblast that's autonomous. Like, literally, the Russian president does not have authority in it, as far as like, or like they make their own laws.
Exactly. Plus, I mean, there's New York City, there's Miami, there's L.A.
There's like, the city of London.
The city of London, where the Diamond Exchange. Antwerp. We can't forget Antwerp.
There's anyways, I just but yeah, I was disappointed in Vivek, but I think Vivek is angling as hard as possible to try and be Donald Trump's VP.
That would be interesting. Then you'd have like a duel of the brown VPs. Who is the more brown?
Do you really think they're going to get Biden across the finish line here in another year?
Man, a year is a long time these days. A lot happens. I have no idea what's going to happen between now and then. Truly, honestly, I wish I had like a more insightful prediction.
It's
but
worse
like,
than a coin toss, right? Like, he's. I think there's a less than 50-50 chance that Biden is actually the nominee.
I don't know. Like, I can't. Like, the thing is,
might
like,
be on the ballot but just because of like paperwork issues.
But like, here's the thing. Like, so let's say they don't nominate him. Like, he's still like, he's saying like he's just gonna do it. Like, he's gonna run. Like, what happens how would that work if the Democratic Party did not back the incumbent president for re-election? That like they nominated an entirely different person, they'd wind up splitting their own votes. Well, assuming like,
what happens if Biden just legitimately dies and they can't cover it up anymore?
Well, then they would back Kamala Harris because then they would have a black queen president, which
would they really tolerate that? Like, whoever's actually pulling the strings right now, would they really be like, "Oh, Kamala, you're up.
I mean,
Your turn.
how
You got
less
2% of the vote in the fucking primary,
how less
4
of a
years
puppet
ago."
would she be than Biden? Really, like she's a fucking idiot. She doesn't do anything.
I guess the question is really, at what point does the average Democrat voter in the primary, not or Democrat primary voter, the
Mhm.
people who turned out to vote on last night to legalize abortion and
Yeah.
weed, at what point are they just like, no, I don't want fucking Kamala Harris being
I mean, I don't know if there is a point. Like, as long as there's a D next to the name, oh well. Like,
I will tell you, like, personally, like, even in like my college friend group, like, they are fucking fed up with Biden
well,
and
that's good,
Kamala.
but like they still think they can push them left. Like, we're still in the
Sure.
hold them accountable stage. Like, we're not in the fuck this guy stage. Like, yeah, we'll reelect you, but you better promise in your second term. You better not. Like, you better be a little more socialist, man. Like, come on.
Do you have any student loans?
I have like $8,000 in student loans.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Did you get anything out of like the student loan forgiveness? Because I think that's like
My
the main
loan was
thing.
accepted into the original student loan forgiveness program. Like,
really?
I have
So,
an
like,
email that I have saved that says that the government has accepted my loan to deal with that, and that they were going to update me when it was taken care of. And then the Supreme Court case came in, or whatever the hell happened, and it was struck down, so they couldn't do it. I was just like, "Are you fucking?"
You don't know where you're at?
So no, I still owe. Like, I have to pay.
Okay. Have you like? I don't know if you'd qualify, but there's like a
The
couple of
SAVE
different
program
programs
or
that
something,
they've set up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably going to look into it, but I'm also, like, admittedly, I've just been kind of just like, like, I don't care a little bit, which I know I have to address it at some point, but I don't know.
I think there's at a certain point, like, they've had this bait in front of like the young. It's not even young people, because it's like there's a lot of parent loans that are student loans, right? So it's like they've got millennials, Zoomers, Gen X, and Boomers all on the hook for like trillions. I mean, what is the total student?
It's like $12 billion or something like that.
Oh no, it's 1.7 trillion.
Oh fuck! Okay, that's wild.
Yeah. So think about like our economy. What's our GDP, right?
Oh.
23 trillion. So we could just round it down, right? So 1.7 is 2, and 23 is 20. So like almost 1/10. Maybe it's a little more. It's like 1/12. 1/12 of our economy is tied up in student loans, right?
Yeah.
That's just student loans, right? And so like they have such a fucking big hook in all these people with these loans. Like, you've got 8K, but there's people out there with tens of thousands.
I know.
Student loan debt.
Like 6 figures of student loan debt because they went and studied at fucking Harvard for 8 years and graduated with an associate's.
And so, like, what are they? Like, they are only able to pull. These people are moderately intelligent, right? Like,
they have specified intelligence.
Yes, they can't be continuously coaxed out of their vote. They're at a certain point they choose to stay home. It's not that they're going to stop voting Democrat. It's just they're just going to not be motivated to turn out, right?
Well, I mean, that's why everybody just gets a ballot in the mail now. Like, you don't even have to ask for it. You don't have to go prove anything. You don't have to submit paperwork. You just get a ballot in the mail, and you can just fill it out and sign it and send it back in, and nobody checks it other than the signature. They're like, yep, there's a signature. We're good.
Speaking of which, did you see a judge actually overturned an election based on ballot dumping footage?
I did see that. Yeah.
Which, like, okay, if you genuinely believe in the project of democracy, which I don't think this podcast does,
Probably not.
if you genuinely believed in it, like, what you could be encouraging every single Republican, like, activist slash, like, mildly interested Trump supporters, like, you need to encourage them. They need to sign up to be a vote worker
A vote mule.
next election. Not a vote mule, but like just like an
A
election
poll
observer.
worker. Yeah, exactly.
Poll worker for the next election. You sign them up, and it'll just be too obvious at a certain point, or it's not happening.
Yeah.
That could also be the case.
That's
It's just like America is not that country anymore where Republicans win national elections. But at a certain point, like, if you guys show up and you are all the poll workers, you decide how it's what fucking Lenin said. Is it Lenin or was it Trotsky? I don't care who votes. I care who counts the votes.
that sounds like Lenin. Jamie, pull that up real quick.
Yeah, I'm my own Jamie right here. Joseph Stalin.
Oh, Stalin.
Oh, because he was
J-Man.
he was the
He was the evil one for sure, but
the party leader. Well, Lenin and Trotsky were all.
oh no, I mean, well, yeah, Lenin was a piece of shit. Trotsky did not get the chance to be a greater piece of shit. But yeah.
Joseph Stalin said, "I consider it completely unimportant who in the party will vote or how, but it is extraordinarily important." Oh man, I didn't get the full quote loaded. I was just reading it.
Oh, we're buffering.
But it is extraordinarily important. It is who will count the votes and how. Said in 1923. Which, like, nominally, like, if you go into like Russian history, it's like there was a Duma, there was democracy, they were trying to implement it, right? And like the Soviets were just like, oh, we're gonna just, the Bolsheviks, I should say, Bolsheviks went in and just said like, oh, we're taking over this process. Basically, they did not have a majority of the people at that point. They took over the process. They took over the institutions. Which, like, if you go back to it, like, infiltration is historically the most effective method of subversion and regime change that's ever been implemented throughout history.
This is true.
I mean, argue with me here. Like, it is like the fucking American Revolution's like the exception to that rule.
How so?
Well, it wasn't an infiltration movement. It was a secession movement.
I mean, okay, yeah, that's true.
I'm trying to imagine, was there ever, what other successful separatist or movements or like revolutions there were?
I mean, a lot of countries.
Maybe the French Revolution.
The French Revolution. There are more than a few countries that, of course, like celebrate their independence from like the British. A lot of those are like, arguably it was like a legal secession. Like the British were just
those were after the U.S. when the UK had already created devolved governments for those places. Okay. And so those were infiltration movements to create secession, right?
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And even in the case of the French Revolution, like the king wanted to, like, create, he wanted a scapegoat, so he created the fuck, I should know this better off the top of my head. What's the French, the State General, the General Assembly of France. He created that to say like, oh, like, here's my scapegoat. They're making the laws now, and I just assent to them. And they just infiltrated that and said, oh fuck, well, we're a republic now and we're going to kill a king, right? That's what the Jacobins did.
Gotcha.
Like it's all infiltration movements. It's all just subversion.
Okay, I see your point. Outside of the American Revolution, no, I can't really think of any successful secession movements that weren't. That's interesting. Yeah.
Because the Confederacy failed, right? And even
Mhm.
they would have been just a subversion movement. That's the case of a subversion movement failing. Fucking the Southerners couldn't even figure out how to successfully implement a subversive infiltration.
That's true. I
Because
mean,
they had their own state assemblies, right? And
yep.
all they had to do was just cut away. It's all the more funny when you realize that a quarter of the Union troops were foreign born. I didn't know that until like a couple weeks ago.
I mean, that makes sense. It's a great way to get immigration citizenship. This tequila's got me.
A quarter to a third of the Union Army was foreign born.
Wow.
So this is the pattern for the next American Civil War, which is they're just going to import people for their Union Army, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did last time.
They'll just do it again. All these auxiliary troops on the front line battling in the Appalachians.
They're going to be fighting exactly over Matt's house.
They are, yes. That's why Matt hasn't been able to join us. He's actually been out making punji traps. But we're like
out of the tunnels covered in leaves.
Yeah. Go home, GI! Go home! His sons are already like rolling grenades down the hill.
Cool. It's been a hot minute here.
It has, yeah. I was
closing thoughts about yeah.
No, I was gonna say we're coming up on an hour and a half. It's been a good one, but no. I imagine the next time we do one of these, Israel and Palestine will still be slapping each other's dicks. Zelensky will still be holding out his cup for the U.S. to piss in. And oh shit, I just remembered my holiday hours start next week, so I'm about to get that brain drain. That extra OT, but that brain drain. So next time y'all see me, I will be haggard.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to not only Thanksgiving but some winter sport activities.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm looking forward.
True Nordic.
Yes. A true Nordic man getting your snow fix.
Well, wait, what are you looking for?
Oh, no, I was going to say I'm looking forward to snow. I do actually enjoy snow. I know it's a sacrilegious opinion, but I like it. It makes me happy. So, yeah. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us for another episode of The Altar. I think we covered all the topics we wanted to cover and then some. We went a little over for you because we love you that much. We wanted to give you some bonus content. So, from Max, a.k.a. a little bit more racist Max, and myself, a.k.a. Based Heisenberg, you guys have a good night. And as always, taxation is theft.